I know, it's okay. So this morning, guys, we're going to be having a look at starting some placement work and some settle training with your dogs. These are both really important exercises for when you're raising a puppy, bringing in a rescue, starting some training with an older dog, or even working with some reactivity. Now, one of the first things that we need to make sure that we can do is get our dogs to move to their placement point. And a placement point is a bed or a mat, or it might be at home, they're crates. And it can be a portable bed that you take around and about with you as well. Now that's what we call our placement point. It can look different for any dog. It doesn't have to be a piece of vet bed or a big plushy bed. But for your dog, it needs to be an area that when you point at it and you say your placement word, which can be the word bed or mat or place or whatever you choose, it needs to be a word that your dog understands, means go to this bed place. So to start with, we're just going to make sure that the dogs have got the hang of that. So with a couple of lovely treats and our marker cue at the ready, I'm going to take Penny off of the bed, and I'm going to start by holding a piece of food. I'm going to show her the food, and I'm going to do my point. Good. And then as soon as she touches that bed, I'm going to mark and reward. So if she wants to come off, she can come off. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to show her the food. I'm going to do my point. Good. And as soon as she touches the bed, I'm going to say my good, which is my marker cue. And I'm going to put that piece of food on the bed each time, so that she picks it up off of the bed. That's really important. You mustn't give the piece of food out of your hand when you're doing this. Otherwise, it brings the dogs back off of their placement point and out of their settle each time. So once we've done that a few times, which might take a little while if it's a dog that's completely new to this concept, we then go with nothing in our hands and we do the same point. So I'm going to show her my hand. Ready, Pen? I'm going to point. Good. And then as soon as she touches that bed, I'm using the marker cue with that word good. And then I'm placing the food on the bed for her to take. Going to draw her off the bed. I'm going to do that point again. Good. And then I'm going to pop that food down and onto the bed. Now, if your dogs need it, you can release them from the bed by taking another little piece of your training food and just rolling it off the bed for her to chase. That teaches her to come onto the bed, but also be allowed to be released. And that's an important part of the process. If they think they're going to have to stay on the bed forever, that can make it a little bit harder for them to comply, especially when they're teenagers. So we want to keep it short, sweet, and really fun. Good. So the next part that we want to have a think about is adding your word for your placement cue. So I use the word bed for Penny, but that doesn't mean her specific bed at home necessarily. It's wherever I'm pointing to. You guys need to pick a word. It might be the word place for their placement point. It could be mat, it could be crate. I've got owners that use basket as well. It's up to you. But what we do is once we can get them to move to the mat with nothing in the hands, we're going to add the point with the word. Ready, Pen? We're distracted now. What's this? So I'm going to use my cue, bed. Good. And then as soon as she's touching that bed, I'm going to reward by throwing the food onto the bed. Again, ready, bed. Good. And as you can see, because we practiced sits and downs, Penny's now already offering me a down position. Bed. Good. Which is really lovely. Now, that doesn't always happen naturally. Sometimes you might have to ask the dog, bed. Good. You might have to ask the dog to go into your sit. Sit. Good. Ready, down. Good. And you can progress by adding those positions on. Bed. Good. And all of this is building up to this placement work being a nice, strong place that the dog can settle. Good. So whenever Penny offers me her bed movement, onto the bed and into the settle, good. I'm just going to reward that as well, making sure I always drop the food at her feet so it's easy for her to pick up. Good. And this is where your settle really starts to come in. Now, there's something going on in our shop that she's quite interested in, as you can see. She's very aware of her surroundings. Good. And initially, I prompted her to request she come back onto her bed. But you can see she's looking and she's listening. Good. But then she's making her own decision at this point to offer me that little bit of calm behaviour, the down on the bed. Now, what we're at the moment is we're rewarding every single time she's on that bed. No more than really a few second gaps in between each food reward, because that's encouraging her to stay there. If I've got a dog that doesn't really like doing a sit or like doing a down, I would still just reward them for being on the bed, for touching it with their feet. I wouldn't worry about those positions. When a dog is ready to relax, they'll offer you those positions naturally, something that's comfortable to them. Good. So at the moment, I'm just randomly, or, with little gaps in between each reward, I'm just randomly rewarding her for just a few seconds each time. And you can see she's expecting it now. Good. She's waiting for me to give her the next treat. So that allows us to move the settle training on to the next level. So she's interested in the food that I've got. She's making eye contact. Good. She's also interested in whatever's happening out in our pet shop today. So she's also looking towards the gate. What I'm watching for in her body language, good, is any type of relaxation. So that last one there is she transferred her weight onto her back hip. That's her just starting to relax a bit more. So rather than being alert here, there we go, good. I'm waiting to see if she starts to just be even more calm in this position, and then that's the behaviour that I'm going to mark good and then reward. So she's making eye contact with me there. Good. I'm not going to reward the eye contact. I've actually waited for an extra second and she put her chin down. So I'm then going to reward the chin rest, which encourages even more relaxation. So I've got one eye on her. That was nice. So I've got a hip roll, one eye on her, one eye on the camera. Good. And what I'm looking for is any extra calm behaviours, settled behaviours or relaxed behaviours, and they are the ones that I'm going to capture. So that treat delivery on my part wasn't very good. She got up. So I'm just going to wait to see if she goes back to the bed on her own account. If she doesn't, I will prompt her, but I'm going to give her a second. She's quite interested in whatever's going on out there. She's checking out the bed. What are we going to do? There we go. Good. That was a lovely choice. So instead of just giving her that reward, I am just going to prompt the down because she popped straight out of her nice settle position. Good. Had a lovely little hip roll there. That's more of a relaxed spot for Penny. She's thinking about a play dead. I can see it in her eyes. Good. Now, she's done a few little movements. And I don't want her to get frustrated. She has a habit of purring at me when she wants a treat. So rather than wait to see what else she offers, I've rewarded her there anyway because she stayed still. She's very engaged with the training. So I'm going to reward her anyway just to see then what she might do next. So this is the settle part of your training. You've got the initial section which involves your placement work, which is asking them to go to the settle spot. And then what we want to do is be rewarding calm and relaxed behaviour once they're on that placement point. The bed, the mat, the blanket, whatever it might be. Good. So, for example, if somebody was to walk past us now and Penny was to suddenly look at them and go, oh my goodness, that's interesting, good. I would aim to mark, good, and reward before she might jump up out of the bed, pull towards them, maybe try to go, good, and say hello, because I want to make sure that I'm encouraging her to see that distraction and stay calm on her placement point, her settle place, and not just spring to action. And that's something else that we'll talk about in a little bit more detail. Good. So whilst we're working on this settle training, the last little thing to consider is adding that word settle into the training good repertoire. So I want her to understand that when she hears the word settle, she should be as calm as she possibly can be. It should elicit, it should try to bring out a calm response. So now I'm just waiting, settle. Good. Until she's as calm as can be within this environment. So she rolled on that hip. She'd got out of the down, but she got back into it. And that's when I said my settle cue just before I marked good and then rewarded. So that's helping her to learn that settle is the word she hears, settle. Good, when she's calm. Now, we have done, for some of you might know, a lot of play dead training. I don't want to confuse this with a play dead cue. So don't want to accidentally say settle as she's trying to throw herself onto her side. So I might just wait for a chin rest again. See if she puts that chin down. She's getting a little bit frustrated. Oh, there's the play dead coming out. Good. Now she was hearing something going on. She thought about getting up, but she didn't. So I just captured that little bit of a moment where she didn't jump off the bed with a nice clear marker reward, and she actually went straight back into the down, which was nice. That's lovely settle work. Settle, good. So I was just working on that head rest there. You saw as the chin came down, she heard the cue and then immediately marked reward. So it's all about what Penny chooses to do right now. Good. So I'm going to mark and reward the doorbell going there, because that's exciting. And I can just go back to replace. Good. Back onto the bed. Some interesting sounds. Good. Just working on this response to something in the environment. What are you going to do? Settle. Good. Good. Make sure she's on the nice warm bed. And that's really what we're trying to achieve when we talk about settle work. It's different to stay training, where you be teaching the dog to stay in one place whilst you move, whilst you do certain activities. You might walk away from them, you might add distraction, you might add loads of distance, or you might just extend the time. With settle work, you don't have to be a million miles away. We are just looking at the dog being in one place on that placement point. Bed. And then once they're there, being as calm as possible. Nearly. You got something stuck in your jowls. Bed. Oh, what a good choice. Good. So hopefully that helps just clarify the difference between the two. What I would really like to encourage everybody to do is to get themselves a transportable mat and take it on the road. So don't just do this at home, although it's important that you do. Practice it when you're out and about and on the road. So take your mats to the park and practice some settle work in the park. Take it to the vets, do it in the reception. Take it to the bench down the road from the house and just sit and watch the world go by, and just help your dogs to understand how to do settle in a variety of environments. Included within that might be other people's homes, so going to friends and family houses and just settle. Good. Helping your dog to understand that this calm stillness can happen elsewhere. What we'll do is we'll add to this with some look at that game that can go alongside good settle. The settle training, especially if you've got a dog that can be can feel big emotions when they see or hear certain things. So the look at that game is the best thing to do for those guys.